What's up, y'all? Good morning. Good night. Like, I know I'm back to my usual shit, midnight shit. You know, that's just me. Got some things to talk about. Let's go. Why are we not talking about Orlando Brown now that he's doing better? Curiously, the redemption arc for the That's So Raven star hasn't received nearly as much media attention as his troubled past behavior. For years, it appeared that Disney's That's So Raven star Orlando Brown was simply unable to get himself together and stay himself out of trouble with the law. From DUI charges to failure to show up in court to answer for DUI charges to public intoxication and disturbing the peace to drug possession and battery, not to mention his infamous Dr. Phil interview where he revealed he's fathered multiple children who he never sees and who don't know me. Brown pretty much stayed in the news for all the wrong reasons, and fans across social media were left to wonder, bruh, is this dude okay? Well, it appears that Brown is in fact okay, and he's well on his way to turning his life around. But curiously, his redemption arc hasn't received nearly much of the media attention as his troubled past behavior. Of course, the world wants to talk about him when he's getting in trouble, but he gets saved and everybody's quiet. He's overcome his drug addiction. He's got a family. Brown in November actually will graduate from Rise Discipleship, a 6-month inpatient recovery program in Texas with a mission to help men overcome addiction, homelessness, and other hardships. He says he was in an unsafe position, Brown does, Orlando Brown, and it has been shaky, but at the end of the day, all I can tell you is I'm okay and I'm graduating. During a fundraising event for Rise Discipleship last week, Brown opened up about his journey from addiction to returning to good health, saying, I don't know what I was doing. I was addicted to the internet, all kinds of stuff. Okay. Well, Brown said he learned about the Rise, which provides housing, food, and other basic needs for its residents through his then fiance, now wife, Danielle Brown. Brown can be seen looking very happy and healthy in his recent photo with his wife and 2-year-old son, which you can actually see on Twitter, which I did not share the photo here, but the photo he actually does look very happy, and his kid and his wife, they look very happy as well. So it's good to hear that. There's a home overseer who confirmed Brown's turnaround and praised him for his leadership among other residents throughout his time in the program. and that's really good to hear. But that's not as newsworthy as him being all strung out on drugs. Obviously, people don't care to know, unfortunately. And if you've ever known anyone who suffers from drug or alcohol addiction, it's a lifelong battle that doesn't end once the person is clean. So here's to hoping Brown stays on the positive path and sees all the happiness and success he didn't experience while he was at a lower point in his life. So, Orlando Brown, brother, we salute you and wish you the best.
Black men are 2.5 times more likely to be killed by cops than white men.
They don't want us to succeed.
How much more do we have to take?
Yeah, so I would like to get into a couple of really I just want to recap the month because it's been a phenomenal month. There's been a lot of a lot of different things that we've covered here on the Leon Block. There's a lot of events, a lot of podcasts, a lot of topics we've touched on, a lot of news we've touched on, which I am actually not going to get into the news today. This recap is simply about everything else, minus the news and the headlines, because again, that is just way too much for me to go over at this moment. But I will start with on the 3rd of this month. That's where we're going to start. I had one of my great guests on the show, Jimmy. We actually got into women's rights, and we did a side block drop where we touched on headlines, but Jimmy really broke down their perspective on women's rights, the movement historically, where we currently are, how they feel about it, where things need to go. Not where things need to go necessarily, but he really did more so an assessment, if you will, of the movement in recent years and currently, just kind of pinpointing where it is, calling it for what it is. And then also that same day, there was a major interview that I did that, some could see it as a bit controversial. It was definitely a doozy of podcast to mediate, interview, to discuss. And why I say that is because the title itself, right? This episode was spurred off the backs of the R. Kelly trial and the verdict that was reached, okay? And so the title of the episode is Child Molestation in Black and Amish Communities, Hollywood and American Sex Cultures and Its Effects. That's a doozy, right? And it was like almost 2 hours. You definitely want to check that out. There was some debates back and forth, if you will. There was an understanding of culture and background that needed to also be understood, and we had to add some context to things before we could further break things down concerning R. Kelly, concerning molestation, concerning Hollywood. That again was a motherfucking doozy. You definitely want to check that one out, because we give context to not necessarily things like conspiracy theories, but some people might consider them conspiracy theories. But we did touch on the evils of American sex culture and Hollywood, and so it was a lot to tie in everything and make it full circle, but we did because it all tied into each other. Definitely a phenomenal episode that you want to check out with guests Nikki Hill and Mary No Justice. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube as well. And if you go to that specific episode again, that was on the 3rd of this month, child molestation in Black and Amish communities, Hollywood and American sex cultures and its effects. That episode, you can find the links to all of their websites, information, all of their social media handles, and definitely check them out because they're worth looking into. And on the 4th, October 4th was another doozy. So on October 4th, that was when Facebook went down. I actually needed to go to a concert, and it kind of almost ruined my plans for the day. It didn't, because I'm me, but but that day was definitely a day for the books, and I give my 2 cents about that day. Enough said. The 5th, oh my goodness, October 5th, we had guest Remy back on the show. And with him, it's always laughs, it's always bullshitting. I believe I gave a block drop throughout that, or touched on some hot topics of the moment, and he did give commentary on it. But we really did shoot the shit. I believe that was the episode where we talked a lot about ramen and rice, and what we like, how we like our ramen. Do you like it crunchy? Do you like it juicy? Do you like it dry? Whatever. Typical stereotypical Black people shit. But also, nah, for real, we really did have a good time just shooting the shit and just having fun. The 10th was the Kellogg's workers strike and the speeches that went along with it. Very powerful speeches. You definitely want to check that out. The 9th was the day before. There was a block drop that coincided with that to give more backstory to the speeches and the strike in itself. Also, that same day, the 9th, October 9th, was a podcast I did with Darlene Colon, who is also the president of the Christiana Historical Society, and I've been talking about her a lot because this particular event, the Christiana Resistance, is a very imperative moment in American history, particularly right before the Civil War, that it gives a lot of backstory to how the Civil War might have came about and how Lincoln was killed by John Wilkes Booth, and why, among a lot of other things that Lancaster County has a big part in playing in American history. Particularly, that episode on the 9th was specifically about the women that played a part in that situation, the Christiana Resistance. On the 10th, in tandem with the Kellogg's workers strike speeches, also I did a crossover event with Barnstorming PA, guest Jordy from Barnstorming PA, one of the VJs from that, and it was pretty fucking awesome. We had a lot to talk about, a lot to touch on that we definitely could do like tons of more episodes on. It was a pleasure to have him. Sorry, I can't wait to have him on again. All right, and then also on the 10th, I know I was busy on the 10th. I think I did 4 podcasts on the 10th. So we also did a block drop with guest Ray. Y'all know her. She's been on the show multiple times. And she provided commentary to the block drop. I think we talked about Facebook being down, the workers' strike, and a few other things. And then on the 11th, I gave my coming out story for Coming Out Day in preparation for the Coming Out Day festival that was held here in Lancaster County. I felt it was time for me to give backstory on how I came to be known as me. And that was pretty awesome. That was pretty cool. Later on that day, me and my guy actually went to the festival. I filmed that, so you can check that out as well. Later on that night, guest Joshua, we had commentary providing how we felt about the festival, how we felt about coming out, how we felt about the quote unquote the scene, if you will. That was a really dope that was a really dope chat. It wasn't really interview because it didn't feel like it. It was a really dope ass chat. And so on the 12th, the following day, we gave footage for coming out day, all the different speeches that were given, things that I didn't get to air. On the same day, we also gave updates on the Kellogg strike with commentary once again from our dear friend to the Leon Flock and guest Jimmy, which they gave another perspective to in respect to like socialism and how different things break down. Definitely schooled me on some stuff that I wasn't aware of. The following day, oh my goodness, that was a doozy because that week was when the Chappelle special had been around for a week. People started talking about it heavy, and I felt the need to jump in on the discussion. And I'm glad that we did, because even though that was very layered, it was nice to tackle it and dissect it and break it down. And break it down, did we? Because I actually broke it down into 3 different parts. It was supposed to be 4. We didn't get to the 4th part, and I felt like the 4th part, it just would have been way too far out. But that night alone, we did 2 different parts, and it came out to be like an hour and a half, I believe. And it was just, it was so much that we dissected and broke down. It was crazy. The 14th, we had a chat with a really awesome guest, Nelly, about LGBTQIA plus relationships, issues, lives, and Christianity, and how those things play together or don't, and relationships and friendships, love. It was a really heavy episode. I will say that. The following day, the 15th, was the 12th annual Remembrance Gathering for Infant Loss and Remembrance Day. That was also a heavy day. That speaks for itself. I filmed the event. Very beautiful, but a lot. I bawled my eyes out. I'm not going to lie about that. The 17th was thoughts about gentrification and people that come with it. And it was basically my ranting about gentrification that I see here in Lancaster. It was, you want to see that. 17th also was a piece that we did on, because George Floyd's birthday was on the 16th. We did a short video of different footage and artwork that I took when I went to Minneapolis earlier this year. The 18th, we finally did the Chappelle episode part 3, where myself and Josh, commentary from him, we broke down how we felt as how we felt about the special. The 20th was random thoughts about mind, body, and soul, me giving my thoughts in pertaining to that. The 20th also was Hunter's Moon, getting you prepared for that moon and letting you know what you can do, what you can focus on. And also, I know some days I'd be busy as hell. The 20th also was Mutant and Proud, Geek Culture's Problem with Inclusivity, with a friend, dear friend, and family to the Leon Block, our guy Jose, who always gives great commentary. But this was a loaded episode that I would love to do a part two with. So, Jose, if you happen to hear this, let's get to it, brother. The 21st was chats with our first guest, first timer to the Leon Block, comedian Kendra Crump from down in Georgia. She really brought the heat. She definitely had me dying my ass off. So I appreciated that. It was very refreshing to have her on the block. The 22nd, the following day, we had another first time guest to the Leon Block, Terrain from the podcast Alcoholics, which is a podcast where they get drunk and talk about politics. So that was pretty dope. I had a blast talking with him. And the 23rd, I filmed an event locally here in Lancaster. It was called Save Our Youth, Save Our Planet, where a local crew really does a lot for the youth in our community. And I'm going to be really digging into that because I've been gathering some footage from them lately. And soon I will be interviewing one of the members of that crew to talk about what he actually technically specifically is involved in the community, what he plans to do worldwide, and how important the youth is to the advancement of just not our people, but this movement in general, even just more importantly now. So I'm really excited to break that down for y'all. That might have to be broken down into a bunch of parts too. And so on the 24th, the 24th was affirmations, which I just gave y'all a bunch of affirmations I felt like was something y'all all could definitely soak in. I know I really enjoyed it. I also did a little piece on memes, quotes, and thoughts of the week, which I will be doing a lot more. So every week on the Leon Block on Facebook, we tend to post a lot of memes, quotes, tweets, things that really speak to speaking truth to power, anti-capitalism, the whole nine socialist type of memes and pictures. And we're going to start, instead of like flooding Facebook with that alone, we're going to start posting it through videos here on YouTube as well, so y'all can check it out here. And we're going to start uploading things to Twitter a little more too, so definitely stay tuned for that. And then we also did, the last episode was Who Am I Working For, which is reference to the system that we're in and who we're really working for. The Amazons, the Googles. We really need to be more thoughtful about where our lives are going, not just our particular lives, but future lives and future society. So it's definitely something you want to listen to on that one as well. Now that was us in totality. Not even. That just scratches the surface on what we've touched on for the month. But that gives you a bit of some kind of understanding of the variety of things that we can give you, right? But that's just a taste. If you go back, there's tons of footage for you to check out, tons of history, tons of footage of events, protests, marches, you name it, it's on here. So tell your friends. Make sure you also as well are doing your due diligence and subscribing to the Leon Block. Make sure you are following, liking, and sharing on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, because we are all on those platforms as well. It has been a pleasure. Thank you for listening to me recap the month. And if you like any of what you heard, please be sure to go through the YouTube and check out all the other stuff we have to offer. And make sure you tell your friends, okay? Tell your friends that Leon Block is here to stay. Love y'all and have a great night.
Leon.
flop, flop.